You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference.
तो कुछ बोला? मैं 9 बजे तो उठा हूँ। उसके बाद भागा मैं यहाँ पे। वैसे वो नंबर का नहीं है, जस्ट फॉर हेडेक। बहुत छोटा नंबर है। वाईफाई कौन सा है? कनेक्ट ही नहीं हो रहा। पासवर्ड बताओ। बताओ पासवर्ड। हो गया कनेक्ट। Sorry for this delay. Half an hour delay. So how many chapter we did in a previous class? 2 चैप्टर किए थे। ठीक है, तो now we will start from the third chapter. आपकी क्लास है क्या आफ्टर कितने 11? आफ्टर 11 यू हैव अ क्लास है? किसकी है? चलो फिर 1.5 घंटे ही करते हैं। अरे भाई कनेक्ट हो जा। First of all, good morning to everyone. Sorry for the delay. We will try to gap it in next class. कोशिश करेंगे जल्दी हो जाए. And today there is no current event class ना? अगली बार से होगी. There will be 1 hour current event class as well. Give me a second. Let's start. Good morning. Sidhu Pragya, can you listen me? Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
We don't have a speaker, Sidhu. Sindhu. चलिए. So we have done 2 chapters. So does anyone remember हमने क्या किया था दोनों चैप्टर में? कुछ याद है about what is we have done status of Indian economy? Then we understood difference between liberalism. Remember post 1991 socialist governance of economy, Nehru-Mahalanobis model. After that, we switched to neoliberal form, Manmohan Singh's time when he was finance minister. Or what are the 3 concern of Indian economy right now? कौन से थे? किसी को याद नहीं? This is your first class, na? Have you seen the previous recording? Do watch it. उसके बाद science नहीं बनेगा because economics में there are 7 chapters. We are doing them. So we have done 2 chapters so far. So what are the 3 main concern of Indian economy? हाँ, as far as देखिए maybe this file is concerned, you may be asking economic survey file. You haven't got it. The reason being we were refining it. Okay, it is being revised. So previous file was there. It has been revised. So you will get the final file. मिल जाएगी आपको इस बार मिल जाएगी this week. Inflation, pandemic, we understood. There was inflation, high inflation that India witnessed, pandemic. Then we understood how depreciating rupee. Yes, Pragya, there were 3 main concerns. Pandemic, induced economic distortion, then inflation, high inflation, we understood, and then your depreciating rupee. These were things that were concerning. Then we understood how they're impacting. Then we understood beautiful thing that is going good with Indian economy. One of that is high private final consumption. याद है हमने बात की थी इंडिया में there is high private final consumption and I told you Indian economy is like a internal combustion engine. It runs from internal demand, high private final consumption, and yes. And what was the reason for private final consumption? Pent up demand. याद है pent up demand of revenge spending we understood. ठीक है? So these were the things. So we had understood. अब हम समझेंगे fiscal development. And I am assuming because you people have not done economics, ठीक है? So of course it will take time to explain you things. I will try to go as basic as possible. देखिए fiscal development. But from what fiscal relates to? To what fiscal relates to? Policy of the government. Fiscal means a monetary aspect is monetary policy. Fiscal means policy of the government. That is, you can say government budgeting. Basically, जो government का budgeting होता है, that's the part of fiscal policy. Monetary policy means it's monetary policy is the central bank of the country to manage the existing money. When you have to decide new money printing, withdrawing money, these kind of things goes with fiscal policy, government policy about taxation. These are all government policy. But when you deal with managing the existing money in the economy, it is monetary policy. Okay? So we are, this chapter is fiscal policy, chapter 3, chapter 4 is monetary policy aspect. दोनों को हम करेंगे. तो फिजिकल पॉलिसी से मैंने बताई थी गवर्नमेंट स्पेंडिंग टैक्सेशन इन्फ्लुएंस इकोनॉमिक अवेलेबिलिटी फिजिकल स्पेस वैसे एफर्ट वगैरह वगैरह. तो सिंपल मैं आपको सेंस समझाता हूँ. देखिए इमेजिन दिस फॉर एग्जांपल आई टोल्ड यू गवर्नमेंट की इनकम इज 30 रुपीज एंड एक्सपेंडिचर इज 40 रुपीज. जैसे आपके केस में इनकम इज 30 रुपीज एक्सपेंडिचर इज 40 रुपीज. तो व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द बोथ? 10 रुपीज एंड इट इज फिजिकल डेफिसिट. Kind of, मतलब not a proper statement, but sense यही है. What is fiscal deficit? What government is envisaging to spend and what government is envisaging to earn through income taxes, through borrowing. There are numerous mechanisms. So the difference between government income, total income after all taxation, non-taxes sources and borrowing, and all expenditure of every kind, that difference is called fiscal deficit. ठीक है, only for fiscal. It does not include a primarily component, but if you include the entire budget, then it is called budget deficit. यहाँ तक बात क्लियर हो रही है? तो फिस्कल डेफिसिट फॉर एग्जांपल, बिकॉज बजट डेफिसिट नो वन टॉक अबाउट, फिस्कल डेफिसिट हर कोई बात करता है. So how you can fund this rupee, this difference? For example, in your case, you can borrow from a friend, your relatives, your parents, whatever may be the case. But government does not have a parent, so government क्या करेगी? It will borrow from economy. It will take money from RBI if possible. It will take money from, for example, central क्या कहते हैं, any bank. It can take money from foreign sources also. That is called borrowing. But we have understood one thing also. Today's borrowing is tomorrow's taxation. The common sense. If जैसे for example, this 10 rupee government जो है, it feeds from borrowing. Today, if you are borrow, then tomorrow you have to pay back. It's simple sense. So government कैसे pay करेगी? Through taxation. So that's we always say we have no problem with fiscal deficit. No problem. You can always spend more than your income. For example, you're a businessman. You take a loan to start a business, but that is productive expenditure. That is good expenditure. But if you take a loan, for example, having a party, drinking, smoking, so that is a unproductive structure. समझ में sorry, unproductive expenditure. Productive, unproductive. If you're taking money, you're borrowing money for productive expenditure, then it's fine. Because you will starting a business or something, it will churn profit later on and you can pay back. It's always fine. But when you're taking money for unproductive purposes, for example, आप हो सकता है कार लोन, बाइक लोन आर बिट अनप्रोडक्टिव, बट नॉट कंप्लीटली, बिकॉज कार जरूरी नहीं है घूमने के लिए भी इस्तेमाल हो, बिजनेस के लिए भी इस्तेमाल होती है. It can be used to go to jobs also. So that's a different thing. So any such kind of expenditure which is unproductive is dangerous. Because आज तो आपको मजे आ गए. You borrowed, you spent today, you enjoyed. But tomorrow you have to bear the burn. You have to pay it back, na? For that we have an act. FRBM. ये बस याद रखिएगा. That is what I have to tell. So basically, fiscal policy means relating to government expenditure and income. All source of income, all source of expenditure. The difference between them is basically the fiscal deficit. Very basic statement. To fill that, government has numerous options. But primarily it fills by borrowing. Borrowing by the central bank, which is prohibited under FRBM above a limit. And it can borrow from the economy, it can borrow from foreign sources also. There are numerous sources. And when the things go good, hunky and dory, it can always pay back. Clear? And to regulate this, we have an act of the parliament known as FRBM Act. That is Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act. Whenever you will do economics, आपको वहाँ पे डिटेल में पढ़ाया जाएगा. ठीक है? So this was basic understanding, because I understood you people have no idea. अब आते हैं, let's see what economic survey is saying. पहला, a trade-off between fiscal support and inflation. Inflation can erode the value of money. पहला तो यहाँ पे एक टर्म आई है inflation. I told you what is inflation. Inflation means two things. One, rise in prices of a commodity. Two, falling purchasing power of money. दोनों is inflation. If you are buying this pen for 10 rupees today, 20 rupees tomorrow, it is inflation. But can I say that the capacity of 10 rupee to purchase this pen has gone down? That's banda hai na? So that is inflation. Inflation means two things. Either you can say it is a general rise in prices, or you can say it is the falling of purchasing power of money. Clear? अब आते हैं नेक्स्ट पे. तो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर इज ट्रेड ऑफ बिटवीन फिस्कल सपोर्ट एंड इन्फ्लेशन. इन्फ्लेशन इरोड्स द value of money, reduce purchasing power, I just told you, and increase the cost of borrowing. Obviously बात है, cost of borrowing means what could be the cost of borrowing? The interest you pay on borrowing. When you borrow something, the interest you pay is known as cost of borrowing. Technical term to say simply interest rate. ठीक है, मजा आता है इकोनॉमिक्स को ऐसी बातें करने में. ठीक है, सीधा नहीं बोलते वो लोग. एज अ रिजल्ट, गवर्नमेंट मस्ट बैलेंस द नीड for continued fiscal support with the potential risk of inflation. अब इसे ऐसे समझिए, what actually they are trying to say. Economy में, for example, I make this pen. The more the people will demand this pen, the more its prices will go up. ठीक है? So there are various kind of people who spend. You people invest. You people spend in economy, buy something that is called private consumption. Corporate India also buys things. They will buy car for office, for commute. They will buy this LCD. You will buy for PlayStation. They will buy for teaching. Everyone is buying this. So similarly, corporate also create demand. Another factor that create demand is government. Government also create demand. Government also buy things. Government corporations are there. Government directly buy things. Clear? So what it is saying is, when government spend too much, so would it increase inflation? Of course it will. समझ में आ रहा है what this para is saying? It's saying inflation erodes the capacity of rupee to purchase, and which hurt the people with fixed income. खासकर majority of the people earn a fixed income. हर कोई flexible income earn नहीं करता है, ठीक है? And especially the poor people and the marginal class people, the more the inflation goes up, the more the even food commodity go out of their hand. जैसे oil था, when Modi government came into power, I think 60 or 70 rupees था. And that क्या बोलते से, सरसों का तेल, सरसों क्या होती है? भूल गया सरसों को क्या बोलते हैं. Anyway, जो भी है, तो जो सरसों का तेल है, it was around 60 to 70 rupees. Now it is around 200 rupees. Too costly. And देखिए, for you people it may be a discomfort, but for a majority of India's population, that commodity has gone out of food basket. अब एक रिक्शा पुलर, for example, or some laborer, they do not earn this much of money. What they do is they earn daily, then they purchase daily to eat daily. You people, I believe you have ration on monthly basis. These people do not get monthly based ration. These people get daily based ration. So a lot of commodity because of inflation has gone out of their food basket. बात समझ में आ रहा है? So that is what this para is saying. It's saying if government spend too much, that is the word here is trade off. ठीक है? अगर आपका इकोनॉमिक्स हो गया होता तो जल्दी जल्दी मूव कर जाते. ठीक है? So it is taking time because I have to explain also. Trade off. Trade off माने when you weigh options. For example, you have 10 rupees. You can eat an ice cream, a pizza also. You want to eat both, but you cannot eat both. Both are 10 rupees. You can eat one. So you trade off. मतलब you weigh the option. Which one is more interesting to me right now? And then you take a decision. That is called trade off. So you have two trade off: fiscal support and inflation. Fiscal support, if government gives too much fiscal support, means, for example, providing you PDS ration, giving you tax reliefs. The government giving you tax relief is a kind of fiscal support to you people, but it will reduce government income, and therefore the deficit will increase. For that, government will borrow. And I told you, too much borrowing is dangerous. Borrowing is always allowed, and borrowing is good also. You can, productive purpose के लिए you can always borrow, because productive purpose is when you will invest today, tomorrow you will pay more. Very common sense. But problem ये है कि when you give fiscal support like PDS and all, you borrow which you may not pay back as properly. तो क्या करेंगे आप? Taxation. बात सबको समझ में आ रहा है? This para is talking about that. So what is happened? India, the government of India adopted calibrated fiscal response to the pandemic, which involved a combination of short-term relief measure and medium-term structural reform. So it is saying when Corona hit, India adopted a calibrated fiscal response, means having a proper balance between inflation and fiscal support. ठीक है, I hope the sense is clear. चलिए आगे बढ़ते जल्दी से. Development in Union government finances. The government response to the crisis was followed by fiscal glide path. Fiscal glide means slow movement in fiscal deficit. Gliding, not sharp rise or sharp down or increase. Gliding slowly. The government response to the crisis was to follow fiscal glide path, resulted in a decrease in fiscal deficit from 9.2 to GDP to 6.7% of GDP. The budget has estimated fiscal deficit to be 5.9%. ये फिगर बस याद रखिएगा. according to budget ने क्या predict किया है? The budget has predicted that this year fiscal deficit will be 5.9% of GDP. This is this year's prediction. Next year economic survey will tell how much we achieved. Clear? So today's prediction is 5.9. But what the government response to crisis? When crisis happened, government was spending 9.2% of GDP more than its capacity. जरूरी था. Crisis was hit, government had to provide free food, free ration. There were numerous things government had to provide. So it was high. But now crisis is going back. Now people are earning by themselves. So government is reducing fiscal deficit slowly. This is called fiscal glide. टर्म याद रखिएगा, फिस्कल ग्लाइड. ठीक है, जैसे प्रीवियस क्लास में वी अंडरस्टूड अ न्यू टर्म कॉल्ड पेंट अप डिमांड. सिमिलरली पेंट अप डिमांड माने द डिमांड दैट वाज देयर बट नॉट showing itself because of constraint like lockdown. ठीक है, now we have a fiscal glide path from 9.2% of GDP to 6.7%, and this year prediction is 5.9. I hope online people यहाँ तक समझ में आ रहा है everything going on. Yes, but fiscally gliding slowly, not sharp rise and decrease. Fiscal glide means this. अब यूपीएससी में प्रीलिम्स में कैसे आएगा? It will say which of the following means a fiscal glide. तो उसमें it will give few statement, but you need to be clear. Fiscal glide means reducing fiscal deficit, but not by a steep margin. Steep dip नहीं है. Slowly, like a roller coaster, you can say, or you है ना that क्या बोलते हैं plank, sliding plank. चलिए तो जल्दी से मूव करते हैं बिकॉज लिटरली वी हैव लेस टाइम. ये ट्रेंड है, नॉट इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर यू. In this, I will always tell you what is important for you. The term fiscal glide is important to understand. Prelims में directly may be asked. ठीक है. और apart from that, this figure is important to remember, which I told you. This वाला. This year prediction is that fiscal deficit will be 5.9% GDP. बस. These are the figures important. बाकी सब भूल जाओ. बाकी just have a look. Understand the graph as a general. कोई figure याद नहीं करना. तो देखिए, before Corona we were at 3.5, very low. But then we were going good, but immediately Corona hit. So when Corona hit, economy was in lockdown, people were not earning. खास करके कि you people are not in a problem. खास कर intelligent job, जैसे for example my job, mental based job, these are never a problem because you can do from home, take class from home. But the problem is physical works. As soon as the crisis hit, lockdown imposed, the people who were doing physical work could not work. So immediately government has to provide support. अच्छा, इसमें मुझे अच्छा याद है, प्लीज एक मूवी अभी आ रही है जिसपे गवर्नमेंट इज नॉट लाइकिंग दैट मूवी, डू वॉच इट. मैं एक बार नाम बताता हूँ. आई टोल्ड यू मूवी आर अ वेरी गुड सोर्स. लॉकडाउन पे है, कोरोना लॉकडाउन में व्हाट हैपेंड, हाउ द पीपल सफर्ड बेसिकली, एंड व्हिच आई आल्सो बिलीव वाज अ स्टूपिड वे ऑफ इंपोजिंग लॉकडाउन. इमीडिएट चीजें ठीक नहीं रहती. वैसे व्हेन वी विल, मतलब जो हम भी आप इकोनॉमिक्स करेंगे, व्हेनेवर यू विल डू, you will understand the stupidity of demonetization. It was the utter stupidity ever born in India. It basically, Modi government punctured their own economy by their own hand. India's economic decline, मैं फिर बता रहा हूँ, does not start with Corona. India's economic decline started with demonetization, utter stupid idea of demonetization. It achieved no objective and it damaged Indian economy. Corona and Ukraine war are additive factors. इसे समझिए, before demonetization you had 100 rupees in your pocket. Demonetization took 50 rupees. Corona and Ukraine war took 50 rupees. Now you are a beggar. But if demonetization would not have happened, even after Corona and Ukraine, you would be having 50 rupees left in your pocket. इसलिए नोटिस कीजिए, this government talks about everything but except demonetization. अगर इसका demonetization एक भी फायदा होता ना, तो बीजेपी was singing it left, right and center everywhere. But they know it's a utter disaster. तो इस पे एक मूवी है, मुझे नाम तो ध्यान नहीं आ रहा, but you do search, गूगल करना. अब अनुभव सिन्हा की मूवी है, do Google it. को लॉकडाउन पे. It is not only important to understand economy, but mostly your ethics paper. आपको 10 बार बताया, GS पेपर 4 is nothing to study about. आप पढ़ेंगे नहीं तो भी आप पूरा पेपर लिख सकते हैं. All you have to do is analyze within the society. Ethics, morality, when you take a decision, how it should be taken. When you see, for example, a poor person, do you have empathy for that person? Compassion. यही सारा ethics है. ठीक है. डू वॉच दैट मूवी. बाकी ये समझ में आ रहा है ग्राफ. सिंपल स्टेंडिंग है. एकदम से कोरोना हिट करता है, गवर्नमेंट हैज टू स्पेंड मोर, तो इमीडिएटली 9.2. बट नाउ एज द इकोनॉमी इज बिकमिंग कमिंग बैक, द गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू रीस्टोर. दैट इज द थिंग. दिस ईयर टारगेट बस याद रखना, ये इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. ऑल यू हैव टू रिमेंबर दिस ईयर टारगेट कितना है? 5.9. क्लियर? नेक्स्ट देखते हैं. यूरोपियन क्राइसिस लेड टू सप्लाई साइड कांस्टेंट. दीज आर सम इशू. पहला हमने समझा, व्हेन गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड टू मच व्हाट हैपेंस? यू कैन क्रिएट इन्फ्लेशन. When government spend too much, because demand is demand, whether government makes it, whether you makes it, whether I makes it, whether the corporate makes it, demand is demand. It pushes the prices. Okay, sorry, pulls the prices. Okay. Next is European crisis led to supply side constant. मैंने आपको बता ही दिया. What happened? Ukraine war happened. Previous class में भी हमने समझा था. As soon as the Ukraine war happened, the export will decline. Because what is the first tendency you people have as soon as the crisis hit? As soon as the crisis hit, किसी भी तरह का, what is the first tendency you people have? To save money. Which I told you, remember the concept. क्या नाम, concept का नाम था? Paradox of thrift. कुछ याद आ रहा? Paradox of thrift. हाँ, the change मैंने आपको बताया था. Paradox of thrift. As soon as the crisis hit, you should spend more. Because if demand will not be there, then no corporate will invest. If you will not make a demand, people will shut down their factories. More people will become unemployed. More demand will go down. Then more factory will shut down. Similar, it's a vicious cycle. And this is called paradox of thrift. You were saving to protect yourself. But because you saved, you exacerbated the crisis and you hurted yourself. That's why the paradox is here. What was the objective of saving? To save for the future uncertainties. But because you saved during a crisis, you made the uncertainty even surest. This is the paradox we have. So this you start saving and all. So that is what it is saying. As soon as crisis hit, people start to go to the safe havens. Means safe problem. That is what it is saying. As soon as the European crisis, means that Ukraine war it is talking about, it hit, supply side constraint coming to the union budget financial year. This year budget was presenting and recovering but uncertain macroeconomic environment due to conflict in Europe, which led to supply side disruption, adverse impact on fuel, food and commodity prices. Why this statement? I told you 85% of our energy need are in from Middle East. We are an energy starved country. We are an energy starved country. Previous class में आपको बताया था, majority of our energy need is met by import. Up supply side constant has happened. I told you even 1 rupee increase in crude oil prices is 10 rupee increase in commodity. Inflation in India is directly impacted by crude oil. हर जगह impact होती है, but because we import crude oil and because of this crisis, supply side issue has happened. So of course crude oil will go costlier. इसके मुताबिक it may go costlier. इसलिए बोल रहा है fuel, food and commodity पे adverse impact. सबको समझ में आ रहा है why this statement is there? Online people, clear this statement? बढ़िया बढ़िया. Performance of union government non-debt receipts. पहले तो ये टर्म समझ लेते हैं. Non-debt receipt. Debt माने लोन, बेसिकली कर्जा. Non-debt माने क्या होगा? मतलब receipt. Receipt माने, what do we mean by receipt? Income. Something that is coming to us. Receipt. So receipt में you have non-debt creating. So what could be non-debt creating? देखिए एक तो हो गया डेट, रिसीट माने इनकम, सिंपली स्टेटिंग, ठीक है। नाउ यू हैव टू मैकेनिज्म, डेट और सेटल डाउन हो जाओ भाई, कितना टाइम लगेगा। तो यू हैव टू मैकेनिज्म, डेट और नॉन डेट। डेट माने लोन टाइप्स ऑफ रिसीट एंड नॉन डेट माने नॉन लोन। सो फॉर एग्जांपल इनकम टैक्स, इनकम टैक्स इज अ लोन ऑफ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया? नहीं, इट्स अ लायबिलिटी। इफ गवर्नमेंट कट 10% ऑफ योर इनकम, तो ऐसा नहीं है यू विल से टू द गवर्नमेंट गिव मी इंटरेस्ट। That is a legitimate demand of the government. So non-debt माने things like income tax, things like dividend. What is dividend? मैंने आपको previous class में शायद बताया था. Dividend means when you are a owner of a company, you do not get a salary, you get part of the profit. You're owner of a company means you are part owner, you have some shares of the company. And in proportion to the share, मान लेते हैं company earns 100 rupee profit and you are 50% shareholder. So how much money you will get? कितना मिलेगा? If you're 50% shareholder of a company, company earns a profit of 100 rupees. So how much you will get? जो आपके दिमाग में आ रहा हो सही आंसर है, बोल दो कितना मिलेगा? 50 रुपीज। कॉमन सेंस यार, 50% शेयर होल्डिंग है तो प्रॉफिट का 50% ही तो लूंगा मैं बोला जो दिमाग में आ रहा सही आंसर है, ठीक है। तो दिस इज कॉल्ड डिविडेंड। A part of the profit paid to you is called dividend. A government is also owner of companies, public sector undertakings that we call public sector companies and public sector banks. So whatever profit these corporations earn, government get a part of it. ठीक है, owner never gets salary, employees get salary, owner get part of profit. हाँ, ये हो सकता है कि you may be owner as well as employee. Example, managing director, chief executive officer. These people usually, not always, usually CEO, MDs. These are employees of the company. But the promoter, the person who created the company happens to be the CEO or MD. जरूरी नहीं है, फर्क समझ में आ रहा है ना? That is a executive position in a company. Owner is different. You happen to be both. If you are both, then you will receive a salary as well as a part of the profit. Clear? Normal case में when companies are small and new companies, so CEO, MDs and owner are the same person. But as company grow big and big becomes a bigger company, then you may have different people as owner, different people as CEO and MD. जैसे भारत पे was started by Ashni Grover, but now he is nowhere in Bharat Pay. MD, CEO are different people. बात क्लियर है? Just give me a second. Is it clear to everyone? ठीक है, तो जल्दी से मैं बताता हूँ. Performance of union governments non-debt receipt. Non-debt receipt refer to revenue generated by government that does not involve borrowing. आपको समझा दिया. Example, tax revenue, dividend income, profit accrued to from PSBs. ठीक है. The union government non-debt receipt comprise of revenue receipt and non-debt creating capital receipt. So basically ये क्या बता रहा है आपको? This chapter is trying to tell you government's non-debt receipt कौन कौन सी होती है? Include comprise of revenue receipts. Revenue, अब मैं जल्दी से आपको थोड़ा सा explain कर देता हूँ. देखिए, something you call receipt और income is the same thing. ठीक है, receipt और income. Other is expenditure. So there are two types. One is called revenue. There are two types, revenue and capital. Means revenue income, capital income, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure. दो type होते हैं. Revenue, what is the criteria of revenue? Revenue means a money, whether in form of income or receipt, whether in form of income or expenditure. Revenue means a money, whether in form of income or expenditure, which does not give any liability to the government. or does not reduce assets. Let me repeat again. Revenue means what? Any money, whether in form of income or expenditure. If it is income, it will be called revenue receipt. If it is expenditure, it will be called revenue expenditure simply. But what is revenue? Revenue means any kind of income to the government or expenditure of the government that basically does not give liability or does not reduce asset. मैं revenue receipt की बात कर रहा हूँ. मतलब गवर्नमेंट पे पैसा आ रहा है, but it is not creating a loan of the government or it is not reducing government's asset. अब एग्जांपल के तौर पे, if government of India gets 1 crore rupees by selling shares of LIC, is it revenue receipt? Government of India is getting 1 crore rupees by selling the shares of LIC. Is it revenue receipt? कैसे हुई? They get money is receipt, okay, but I am saying is it revenue? मैंने क्या बताया? What are the criteria for revenue receipt? Any money that comes to government which does not give any liability and which does not reduce asset, but it is reducing government asset. It is not revenue receipt, it is capital receipt. ये उल्टे होते हैं एक दूसरे के, समझिएगा. इकोनॉमी व्हेन यू विल डू यू विल अंडरस्टैंड. तो रेवेन्यू रिसीट क्या होता है? एनी लायबिलिटी, any kind of income to the government that does not give liability, does not reduce asset. If any income to the government reduce liability or reduce asset, it is आ गया capital. ठीक है. So if tomorrow government of India sell LIC, so what kind of receipt it is? Capital receipt. But government of India impose laughing tax on you people. You laugh, you have to pay tax. What kind of receipt it is? Revenue. Because government आपको इंटरेस्ट थोड़ा ना देगी उसका. बात समझ में आई? तो वही ये बात कर रहा है. So basically the government non-debt receipt comprise of revenue receipts and non-debt capital receipts. Clear है everyone? ठीक है. और मैंने आपको समझा ही दिया था, बोरोइंग करनी पड़ जाती है. The difference that you have between your income and expenditure is the borrowing. बाकी देखिए, these are all the components. आपको मैंने बताया there are two components in government fiscal policy: receipts and expenditure. Receipt माने what comes in, expenditure what goes out. Within this you have two type: revenue receipts and capital receipts. ये सारे example है. So what you will do? You will rot learn this. ये important है. You will rot learn this entire flow chart या tree chart, जो भी आप कहना चाहे. इससे क्या होगा? You will get the idea what is revenue receipt, what is capital receipt. Helpful in main. वैसे particularly तो prelims के लिए important है. ठीक है. Directly they may be question. For example, they may ask which of the following category income tax falls in? Revenue receipt, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure या फिर capital receipt. So you have to select the one. तो ये याद रखिएगा. अब expenditure part पे आते हैं. Expenditure is exactly reverse to the receipt. मतलब revenue expenditure. Revenue receipt हमने समझा, which does not give any liability, does not reduce asset. Similarly, revenue expenditure क्या होगा? Which does not create asset, does not reduce liability. This is assets नहीं बनेंगे, liability कम नहीं होगी. बात समझ में आ रही है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ गवर्नमेंट, और ये अगर एसेट रिड्यूस होते हैं या लायबिलिटी बनती है तो इट इज कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर. दिस इज द डिफरेंस. फॉर एग्जाम्पल टुमारो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बाइज, मान लेते हैं टाटा. टुमारो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बाइज टाटा. So what kind of expenditure it is? Capital or revenue? Tomorrow government of India has bought Tata, the company that we know. So is it revenue expenditure or capital expenditure? कैसा है? वो लोग गलत ही तो होगा ज्यादा. Go ahead. Capital हुआ? क्योंकि आपका एसेट बन गया. You have bought a company now, and a company is an asset. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल कल टुमारो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया गिव्स यू सॉरी टैक्स, सॉरी मनी, गवर्नमेंट सॉरी बोल के आपको मनी देती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 500 रुपीज गवर्नमेंट गिव टू वुमेन ड्यूरिंग कोरोना. That 500 rupees given to women by the government during corona is what kind of expenditure? Revenue expenditure. समझ में आया? Because by giving this money to the woman, government does not get any kind of asset and it does not reduce government liabilities, means loans taken by the government. If, for example, government pay back to Adani over a loan government of India took from Adani. So what kind of expenditure it is? Capital. सबको समझ में आ गया? This is the difference between, ये चीजें याद रखनी है आपको. फिस्कल पॉलिसी में there are two components, receipt and expenditure. Receipt में you have revenue capital and expenditure में revenue capital. These are the criteria. Economics में आप फिर करेंगे, but यहाँ पे आया तो I have told you. बाकी please remember these things which fall under which. It's important. So what is according to economic survey? According to economic survey, the revenue receipt registered a robust growth. मतलब government is having good income of taxes and other kind of sources. It's good news. The more the government has income, the more it can spend. Obviously बात है. So the revenue receipt registered a robust growth based on the rebound collection of all major direct and indirect taxes. मतलब all the direct and indirect taxes में there is a boost according to economic survey in the previous year. Remember, economic survey is not of this year. Previous year का होता है. Budget talks about this year. Budget is forward. Economic survey is backward. What happened in this year will be told by next year's economic survey. ठीक है? So direct taxes माने and indirect taxes. Direct taxes माने in which the burden and the incidence is same. मतलब I impose 10 rupees on you as taxation. I impose 10 rupees on you and you pay 10 rupees to me. It is direct tax. Indirect होता है when I impose 10 rupees on you, but you pass that on to somebody else. Indirect tax, and which is more damaging out of these two? Which is more damaging for, especially for common person? Indirect tax. On everything that you buy. Remember, every single person of India, including even a rickshaw puller, a beggar, everyone pays tax to the government, because indirect tax we all pay. And the problem with indirect tax is it is very bad tax because it is equal for everyone. If Adani buys a toffee or a rickshaw puller buys a toffee, both pays equal tax to the government. बात समझ में आ रही है? Indirect tax is a bad tax. Direct tax is a good tax because it is imposed as per income. अगर if your income is high, you will pay more. If your income is low, it will pay less. ठीक है? So it's a good news. According to economic survey, the revenue receipt registered a robust growth in all major direct and indirect taxes. ठीक है? ये फिगर इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट जस्ट फॉर रेफरेंस पढ़ लीजिए. द ग्रॉस टैक्स रेवेन्यू रजिस्टर्ड ईयर टू ईयर ग्रोथ, मतलब ईयर टू ईयर ग्रोथ, जो फरवरी टू फरवरी जो हम काउंट करते हैं, अप्रैल टू अप्रैल, रजिस्टर्ड ग्रोथ ऑफ 15.5% फ्रॉम अप्रैल नवंबर 2020. द नेट टैक्स रेवेन्यू सेंटर रैंकमेंट ग्रो इतना. When government of India earns money, so what it will do? It will spend. I told you, अपनी जेब में थोड़ा रखेगी. It is for the people. So it is saying that the revenue given by center to the state has also grown by 7.9%. बात समझ में? Figure important नहीं है. All you need to remember in this entire para, no figure is important. Only thing you have to remember, according to economic survey, previous year में government taxes have been robust, both direct and indirect, and government allocation of those taxes to the states have also increased. बस ये two line आपको याद रखनी है. Clear? What is the reason? ये याद रखिए. What is the reason according to economic survey? Introduction of GST. GST has, I would say, increased tax collection तो बढ़ा ही दिया है वैसे इसने. Digitalization of economic transaction. You cannot avoid taxes. Digital transaction best क्या होती हैं? That you are always accounted. आप कैश में you can do हेरा फेरी. That's why we have seen a lot of जब आप कुछ खरीदने जाते हैं, खासकर costly affairs, they do not take online payment. वो कहता है कैश में हो तो दे दीजिए. The reason being, if they take online payment, it is registered payment. Online registered हो जाता है, then the government know this person has received this much of money, and then government can calculate tax liability. इसलिए वो कैश में लेते हैं. कैश में तो कुछ भी बता दोगे आप, who can check you? बात समझ में आ रही है? So that's why the government taxes are increasing, because more the electronic transaction, more government has a hold of income. अभी आप बोल रहे 10 रुपए है, but then somebody transfers it 20 रुपए, गवर्नमेंट को पता लग जाएगा, you lied to it, and it will demand कि भाई 10 रुपए निकालो जल्दी से. इसलिए लोग ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं लेते, खासकर इफ यू गो टू बाइंग समथिंग. तो जीएसटी, it is the online taxation, everything is filing online, everything is online, good. Because of digitalization, faceless assessment and appeal, this is an income tax. इनकम टैक्स में क्या होता है, पहले क्या होता था, फॉर एग्जांपल देयर विल बी इनकम टैक्स कमिश्नर, आईआरएस ऑफिसर जो होते हैं हमारे सिविल सर्विस में, ना पोजीशन आईआरएस इनकम टैक्स. तो आईआरएस ऑफिसर्स जो होते हैं, दे इवैल्यूएट हाई कॉस्ट इनकम टैक्स. जो बड़े बड़े लोग होते हैं उन पे नजर वो रखते हैं. अदर पीपल, इनकम टैक्स इंस्पेक्टर एंड ऑल, छोटे लोगों पे. द प्रॉब्लम इन दैट वाज दे वर अब्यूजिंग दिस पावर. इमेजिन यू आर एन असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर ऑफ इनकम टैक्स, assistant commissioner income tax, you have got the file of Adani. सोचिए how much money you can print. इनकम टैक्स में सबसे लिक्विडिटी पोजीशन अगर कोई है in all the IAS services, it was income tax. अच्छी पोजीशन भी है, and अब नहीं है, because of Modi government has introduced faceless assessment and appeal. मतलब nobody knows whose file will go to whom. जैसे यूपीएससी के एग्जाम में होता है, when you write answers ना, तो what UPSC does is, जो front page वगैरह होती है ना, UPSC withdraws that. Only answer sheet goes to the checker. तो checker को नहीं पता होता that the writer is who, what is their name, what is their gender, what is their caste, what is their religion. To ensure neutrality, checker will only look at the content, क्योंकि उसे पता नहीं किसने लिखा है. हो सकता है a checker in Delhi may get a sheet from Tamil Nadu. Nobody knows. ठीक है, so that's the process of faceless assessment and appeal. You have filed your income tax returns, it can go to anyone in India, any income tax officer जो government of India का है, means you file return in Delhi and an income tax commissioner sitting in Tamil Nadu gets your file. It is a computer based assignment. उसे नहीं पता होगा कि किसकी फाइल है. बात समझे? faceless assessment and appeal, it's good. इससे करप्शन कम होता है. बात समझ में आ रही है ना? किसी को नहीं पता किसको मिलने वाली है फाइल. अदरवाइज मुझे, फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ आई नो दैट दिस इनकम टैक्स इंस्पेक्टर, इनकम टैक्स कमिश्नर सिटिंग इन दिल्ली, ही इवैल्यूएट फाइल ऑफ दिस रीजन, जोन होते हैं, तो आई कैन मेक और आई कैन गेट दैट पर्सन इन्फ्लुएंस बाय मनी, बाय पावर, जो भी रीजन बनता हूं. बट व्हेन आई हैव नो आइडिया कि व्हिच ऑफिसर विल गेट माय फाइल, कैसे इन्फ्लुएंस करूंगा? आई कैन नॉट बाय ऑल द आईआरएस ऑफिसर. सीधी सी बात है, आई कैन बाय फ्यू, नॉट ऑल. बात समझ में आ रही है? इससे क्या हो रहा है? इनकम टैक्स इंक्रीज हो रहा है गवर्नमेंट का. People are feeling genuine income tax they have to pay because they do not know where and which person may get my file. Honest निकला तो बात समझ आ रही है? So introduction of GST, digitalization of transaction, faceless assessment and appeal, simplification of return filing. Because of these reason, government of India's income is increasing according to economic survey, both direct and indirect. And government allocation to state governments is also increased. Clear? This is we have to know. बाकी देखिए, इस ऐसा एक टर्म आई है, मैं बता देता हूँ, ई-वे बिल. व्हाट इज ई-वे बिल? अंडर जीएसटी पहले क्या होता था? व्हेन यू क्रॉसेस बॉर्डर्स यू हैव टू पे टैक्सेस. आपने देखा होगा, व्हेन यू एंटर इनटू बॉर्डर देयर इज लोकल म्युनिसिपैलिटी टैक्सेस, ऑक्ट्रॉय बोलते हैं वैसे. आपने बॉर्डर चेक पोस्ट देखे? व्हेन यू एंटर इनटू अ स्टेट, आपको नहीं रोकेंगे. इफ यू आर इन अ पर्सनल व्हीकल, white plate number, they do not stop your vehicle, but yellow plate, which are commercial vehicles, they stop them and ask for money. ठीक है, these are called octroi taxes, anti tax बोलते हैं इसे. When you enter from one state to another state, one municipality area to other municipality area, they impose local anti tax known as octroi. That's what you find in borders. इसमें प्रॉब्लम थी, it was time wasting. इंडिया में बहुत ज्यादा टाइम वेस्ट होता है. आई हैव अ कंसाइनमेंट एंड आई स्पेंड, फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ आई पास 7 स्टेट में मैं 50 बार रोका जाऊंगा. व्हेन आई विल एंटर फ्रॉम वन एरिया टू अदर एरिया, वन एरिया टू अदर एरिया, तो आई विल बी स्टॉप्ड मल्टीपल टाइम्स एंड आई हैव टू पे मल्टीपल टैक्सेस. और इसलिए फिर करप्शन भी आ जाता है। जो बीट ऑफिसर्स होते हैं खासकर पुलिस में, जो बीट ऑफिसर्स होते हैं हु आर ऑन द रोड, दे अर्न द मोस्ट, बहुत घपलेबाज करते हैं वो, तो उसमें करप्शन आता है। गवर्नमेंट हैज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड ई-वे बिल। व्हाट आई हैव टू डू इज, इफ आई एम गोइंग फ्रॉम दिल्ली टू मुंबई, I am taking a product from Delhi to Mumbai, I will file online and I will generate a e-way bill. In this bill, I will pay all the taxes that are supposed to be between Mumbai to Delhi. I will pay them online to the government. So इससे क्या होगा? When I will be going anywhere, all I have to do is show the e-way bill and I can pass all the barriers. समझ में आया? What is e-way bill? It is introduced as the part of GST. Clear? So this is we have. So these are the good things that have happened. आगे देखते हैं. Overview of state government finance जल्दी से देख लेते हैं. What is the overview of state government finance? पहला, reduction of gross fiscal deficit. मतलब this you have to remember. According to economic survey, the fiscal deficit of the state governments have also reduced. Not only central government fiscal deficit has been reducing, state government fiscal deficit is also reduced. Unutilized borrowing limit. लिमिट कहां से आई? ये लिमिट FRBM एक्ट, रिमेंबर मैंने स्टार्टिंग में बताया था, फिस्कल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बजट मैनेजमेंट एक्ट. इट पुट अ लिमिट ऑफ बोरोइंग बिकॉज अदरवाइज गवर्नमेंट विल बोरो अनलिमिटेड एंड टुडेज बोरोइंग इज टुमारोज टैक्सेशन. सो फॉर दैट वी हैव FRBM एक्ट. बात क्लियर आ रही है? तो दैट आल्सो इम्पोज सम लिमिटेशन ऑन स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स बोरोइंग. उसी की बात हो रही है. द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इज अनयूटिलाइज्ड बोरोइंग लिमिट ड्यूरिंग द लास्ट 3 years. In order to ease the resource constraint of the state government, the center enhanced the net borrowing ceiling from 5% of state GSTP ठीक है. अच्छा, उल्टा ऑर्डर में लिखा 4% in इतना and 3.5% in इतना. What it is saying, when corona hit, तो पहला तो state government started to spend more than their income, मतलब their fiscal deficit increased. But now as the economy is turning back, same with the union government finance. Union government में क्या हो रहा है? Fiscal deficit is coming down. मैंने आपको ग्राफ दिखाया था from bottom to एकदम peak and then going down. Same is going for the states. पहली चीज. Second चीज borrowing. I told you the difference between income and expenditure you fund through borrowing. Government fund through borrowing. State government has a limit under FRBM Act. So what central government did during corona, they enhanced the limit to 5%. अब now they are slowly reducing it. समझ में आ गया दोनों स्टेटमेंट? तो figures are not important. कोई नहीं पूछेगा. You're not economist. All you have to remember is fiscal deficit of the states, gross fiscal deficit of all the state is going down. The central, the borrowing limit given by the central government is also going down, which is a good thing so far. ठीक है, अगला देख लेते हैं. नेक्स्ट थिंग इज सेम विद द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. देयर इज ग्रोथ इन टैक्स कलेक्शन ऑफ द स्टेट्स एज वेल. तीनों स्टेटमेंट क्लियर है? अगेन मैं कह रहा हूं ये फिगर्स मैंने यहां लिख दिए हैं जस्ट फॉर योर रेफरेंस. आपको कोई फिगर याद नहीं करना है. ओनली फिगर दैट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर जो मैंने आपको बता दिया, 5.9% लाइकली टू बी द फिस्कल डेफिसिट दिस ईयर. क्लियर? ठीक है. कंपैरेटिव फिस्कल फेडरलिज्म ड्राइव द वेल टारगेटेड फिस्कल पॉलिसी. कोई नहीं. ये है आपका ट्रांसफर ऑफ फंड. मैंने आपको बताया सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट गिव फंड टू द स्टेट्स बोरोइंग में से, विच स्टार्टिंग में हमने समझा था. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज इंक्रीज इट्स फंड टू द स्टेट्स. तब बताइए यहां तक कोई प्रॉब्लम हो तो फिर मैं आगे बोलता हूँ. ऑनलाइन पीपल एनी इशू? मुझे लग रहा है हमारा इकोनॉमिक्स लेवल लंबा चलेगा. आपको इकोनॉमिक्स पता नहीं है ना? है, अगर आपका इकोनॉमिक्स करा हुआ होता ना तो हमारा ये बहुत छोटा हो जाता. हम मुश्किल से 2-3 क्लास में निपटा मारते सारा. 2 क्लास में, 2-2 घंटे की क्लास में आराम से हो जाता. अभी हम 30 चैप्टर पे आ पाए हैं, 12 चैप्टर. कोई नहीं यार, इकोनॉमिक्स नहीं पता, कोई नहीं. करंट इवेंट क्लासेस विल आल्सो बी देयर. फ्रॉम नेक्स्ट सैटरडे 1 आवर करंट इवेंट क्लासेस एंड 1.5 आवर इसे करवा लेंगे, ठीक है, चलेगा जब तक चलेगा, कोई नहीं, आपका इकोनॉमिक्स हो जाएगा इसी बहाने। तो नेक्स्ट, I told you that the state government fund to the central government fund to the states have increased. Previous हमने समझा था, allocation has increased. So what kind of allocation central government gives for? One is share of the states in the union taxes devolved to the state. Whatever tax the union government takes, it also give a part to the states. So that is the part. ठीक है. Second, finance commission grant. Every 5 years or as the president may decide, they appoint something called finance commission. The purpose of finance commission is to evaluate, is to look for the income and the resources of everyone. The purpose of finance commission is to look towards the resources of the, क्या purpose है finance commission का? It will look at the resources कि government कितना revenue लाएगी, कैसे लाएगी, and then it suggests the government what it should do about its fiscal policy, about its support to the state, income tax, GST, सबके बारे में the finance commission recommends. So finance commission also recommends grants to the states by the center. समझ में आ रही है बात? So that is the second part. First part is state share of the taxes. Second, as finance commission grant. Third, centrally sponsored scheme and other grant. What is centrally sponsored scheme? मैं आपको समझाया था, there are two kind of scheme. One is centrally sponsored, one is central sector. Central sector scheme माने where 100% of the money of the scheme is given by the central government. Centrally sponsored scheme माने where a part is given by the central government, a part is given by the state government. That varies from scheme to scheme. But general ratio हमारा रहता है 60-40 का. Remember, it vary from scheme to scheme. It may be 30-40, 60-40, जो भी है, whatever may be the case. But general ratio is 60-40. 40% of the scheme is contributed by the states, 60% is contributed by the center. That's the general formula. Clear? So these are the type of transfers of fund by the center to the state. ठीक है? तो अब देखते हैं क्या हुआ है. अभी तक देखिए हमने क्या क्या देखा. Let me summarize. So we have seen that fiscal deficit is going down. Second, we have seen income tax and other kind of taxes are buoyant. Third, we have seen central government allocation to states have increased. On state, we have seen state fiscal deficit has also gone down. State borrowing limit is being reduced. ठीक है? हाँ, आई थिंक यही पॉइंट है हमारे पास. ठीक है, ऑल पॉइंट में हमने कहीं पे भी फिगर याद नहीं करा और करना भी नहीं है. मैं अगेन कह रहा हूँ, यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर यूपीएससी, नॉट यूपीएससी एक और एग्जाम कंडक्ट करती है, इकोनॉमिक सर्विसेज एग्जाम. आपने सुना आईईएस आईएसएस का एग्जाम होता है. यूपीएससी बहुत एग्जाम कंडक्ट करती है. एक है आईएसएस का एग्जाम, इंडियन स्टैटिस्टिकल सर्विस और इकोनॉमिक सर्विसेज, उसमें ये सब होता है. ठीक है, हमारे काम का नहीं है, वी आर सिविल सर्वेंट्स. ठीक है, राइज इन ट्रांसफर्स टू स्टेट बता ही दिया था मैंने आपको. देयर इज इंक्रीज ट्रांसफर्स टू स्टेट बाय द सेंटर. तो पहला पॉइंट आपको क्या याद रखना है, दैट देयर इज अ राइज इन ट्रांसफर्स टू स्टेट. Second recommendation, the Finance Commission has recommended allocation of around 2 lakh crore rupees for this year in respect of post-devolution revenue deficit grant to local government, जो भी है different kind of grant. So, what is the recommendation of Finance Commission this year? This year में कितना? Around, exact figure is not important, around 2 lakh crore. So पहला, the transfer to state have increased. Second, the Finance Commission is recommended to give around 2 lakh crore by the center to the state in the form of finance commission grants. ठीक है, आगे देखते हैं. Supporting the GST compensation payment during crisis. The government, in addition to releasing the regular GST compensation, also borrowed around 2.7 lakh crore during itna and passed on to the state on a back-to-back promise to meet the shortfall in GST compensation to the state. मतलब there are two things here. Number one, GST जब आया था, GST took away a lot of taxes of the state governments. The state government also used to impose number of taxes which was subsumed under GST. ठीक है, So the central government during GST enactment promised the state, I will compensate you for the income tax losses. जो भी taxes you were imposing and you lost them because of GST, I will compensate to you. उसी की बात हो रही है. So what it is saying, in central government gave regular GST compensation, जो कि promise था when GST was brought. Along with it, central government has also borrowed 2.7 lakh crore to give to the states. ठीक है. थर्ड स्टेटमेंट, तीन स्टेटमेंट हम क्या क्या समझे. पहला, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट असिस्टेंस टू द स्टेट हैव इंक्रीज्ड. सेकंड, द फाइनेंस कमीशन ग्रांट इज अराउंड कितना था, 1.7 था, around 2 lakh crore. Third, the GST compensation for which government took around 2.7 lakh crore. ठीक है. It is in addition to regular GST compensation. When GST was brought, central government promised the state, वो अलग है. Apart from that, this was given. Clear? ठीक है. Enhance limit of borrowing of the state and incentivizing reform. मैंने आपको समझा ही दिया थोड़ी देर पहले. When Corona came, because there is something called as FRBM Act, इसमें mention नहीं है. This is called Fiscal Responsibility Legislation, जो है उसी की बात हो रही है, FRBM Act की. So I told you, big Corona came, the government has to increase borrowing limit because state government also lost taxes. भाई लोग काम नहीं कर रहे, टैक्स काहे देंगे. Lockdown was there, people were not working, why would they pay taxes? But government को तो spend करना पड़ेगा ना. Government cannot sit at home. Government has to spend on various welfare provision. तो उसके लिए क्या कर रहा था, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट रेज द लिमिट. अब उसे वो कम कर रही है धीरे धीरे, वही बात हो रही है. ठीक है, वी हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस. अगेन फिगर्स आर नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट. सेंटर सपोर्ट टू द स्टेट फॉर कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर. देखते क्या हुआ है. द यूनियन गवर्नमेंट इंक्रीज कर दिया गया है, इतना याद रखना है बस. तो द इवन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट सपोर्ट टू द स्टेट फॉर कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर हैज बीन increased. मतलब हर तरह के the support given by the central government as it appears from this economic survey has increased to the states in all format. ठीक है. Debt profile of the government. Debt profile मतलब कहां कहां से कर्जा लिया है आपने, कितने दोस्तों को लूटा है, सबकी डिटेल यहाँ पे होगी. ठीक है. Basically government has taken loan from whom, which people, they are here. Let's see. The debt profile of the government refer to the detailed analysis of the outstanding debt of the government. वही मैंने आपको बताया कहां कहां से कर्जा लिया है, from where you have taken the debt, उसका profile. Let's see what is the key components of the government debt profile. पहला, ये याद रखने हैं. This definition you have to remember. Prelims purpose important. Total debt outstanding, total कर्जा कितना है. Debt to GDP ratio. What is the total outstanding and what is that in proportion to GDP? That is debt to GDP ratio. Next, interest rate on debt. How much the government is paying. Remember, ये ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. I told you ना, if you borrow too much today, what will happen? You have to pay it back tomorrow. That's how credit card works. Credit card company comes, ये भी ले लो, वो भी ले लो, ये वाला कार्ड भी ले लीजिए सर, मैम ये कार्ड लीजिए, अगला लीजिए, अगला लीजिए. What happens when you take too many credit card? What happens? You start spending. भाई वो पे भी करना होता है. So you are in a debt trap. You are at one point in a situation where you have to even take loan to pay back the old loan. That's a debt trap. No country should fall for. तो ये बहुत important है, ये दो रेशियो. डेट टू जीडीपी में क्या बताता है, इसे ऐसे समझिए, योर डेट टू इनकम. आपके केस में ऐसे मानिए, डेट टू इनकम. इफ योर डेट इज ओनली अ परसेंटेज ऑफ योर इनकम, मान लेते हैं 20%, इट्स फाइन. आपकी इनकम ज्यादा है एंड यू हैव ओनली 20% ऑफ योर इनकम इज डेट, मतलब यू कैन एनीवे पे बैक, कभी भी आप पे बैक कर लोगे. बट व्हेन इट गोज बियॉन्ड अ पर्टिकुलर लिमिट, यूजुअली बैंक्स वगैरह मान के चलती हैं दैट 40% इज द जेन्युइन लिमिट. Whatever your income, banks often assume that up to 40% of your income you can pay back always. उस हिसाब से गवर्नमेंट बैंक्स लोन देती हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल यू हैव अ 10 लाख रुपी पर एनम इनकम, 10 लाख पर एनम, तो कितना लोन देगी बैंक्स? अराउंड 4 लाख. दे अज्यूम दैट यू कैन पे बैक टू 4 लाख इजीली. उसके बाद यू कैन पे बैक बट हार्डली एंड अप टू 60% इज द अपर लिमिट. इसके ऊपर आप पे नहीं कर पाओगे. इसके ऊपर क्या होगा, यू विल फॉल फॉर डेट ट्रैप. ठीक है, सेम गवर्नमेंट केस में होता है. डेट टू जीडीपी रेशियो, इफ इट इज बियॉन्ड अ लिमिट, इट मींस नाउ गवर्नमेंट इज फॉलिंग फॉर अ ट्रैप. समझ में आ रहा है सबको? ऑनलाइन पीपल, इज इट क्लियर? ठीक है. सो टोटल डेट, हाउ मच यू हैव, what that is the percentage of GDP. Total debt, that debt is how much percentage of GDP is debt to GDP ratio. How much interest you are paying on that. This is the third thing. Maturity profile, this refers to a time period over which the government debt is due to be repaid. Maturity, when you have to pay back your entire debt, जो भी है. Composition of debt means कहां से लिया है कर्जा, from where. So these are, कितने component हो गए हमारे? 5 हो गए I believe. So these are the 5 important component of a government debt profile. How much is the total debt? 5 हो गए ना. How much is the total debt? Second, that debt is how much percentage of GDP? Third, how much interest is on the debt? Fourth, when the debt will mature? And fifth, what is the composition? From what are the sources basically? Clear? अब देखते हैं, let's see what economic survey has said. ये तो कॉमन सेंस है, आप भी बता सकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स कोरोना वाज देयर, तो गवर्नमेंट हैज टू स्पेंड मोर, इनकम वाज लेस, ऑफ कोर्स डेट बढ़ा होगा. कॉमन सेंस है. नाउ गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू रिड्यूस दैट डेट. उसी को देखते हैं. इन एन एफर्ट टू टाइड ओवर द क्राइसिस क्रिएटेड बाय द पैंडेमिक, द गवर्नमेंट अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड गॉट एंगेज इन हैवी फिस्कल एक्सपेंशन. ये वर्ड क्या है? एक्सपेंशन. Fiscal expansion, the difference between income and expenditure is increasing. Expansion, fiscal expansion माने income and expenditure में difference is expanding. Fiscal contraction माने the difference between them is decreasing. ठीक है. Of course fiscal expansion increase, this has led to spike in public debt. The IMF project global government debt taking 90% of GDP. It's high according to IMF. Previous year, IMF is International Monetary Fund, international economic body basically. According to this, the global GDP debt to GDP ratio was 91%. मतलब all the people in the world have produced whatever. मान लेते हैं every single person in the world produced on an average 10 rupee of product. So out of that 9 rupee was debt. It's severe. बात समझ में आ रही है? जनरली हम मानते हैं कि 40, मैंने आपको बताया 40 इज अ कंफर्टेबल फिगर एंड एट मोस्ट 60 से ऊपर नहीं जाना चाहिए, देन इट बिकम्स अ क्राइसिस. ठीक है. एंड इट इज वरी, अ बिग वरी. बट कुछ कर नहीं सकते इस काम, बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स कोरोना वाज देयर एंड आई टोल्ड यू गवर्नमेंट कोई नहीं ज्यादा है तो गवर्नमेंट, देखिए यू पीपल आर डिफरेंट, गवर्नमेंट इज डिफरेंट. गवर्नमेंट कैन ऑलवेज टैक्स. तो अभी 90 है, कोई बात नहीं. Tomorrow when economy will be restored, government will impose taxes various kind of, and various kind of avenues it will find and it will pay back. You people are different. आप इंडिविजुअल हो, आपकी इनकम मर्जी से नहीं बढ़ती. गवर्नमेंट कैन इंक्रीज इट इनकम whenever it want to taxes and other purpose. You cannot increase your income whenever you want. इसलिए वो डिफरेंस है, ये फर्क याद रखिएगा. ठीक है. Nonetheless, so about 7.5%, मतलब it has increased 7.5%. The sustainability of sovereign debt, sovereign माने government debt. The sustainability of sovereign debt is of concern because of tightening budget constraints, global financial condition, rising interest rate and fear of slow growth. मतलब ये क्या कह रहा है? आपके केस में मान लेते हैं you have taken 90% of your income as a loan. If your income does not increase, और मान लेते हैं your job goes away, तो आप तो गए. You have to pay back. Same चीज ये कह रहा है, that government have taken too much of loan. 91% GDP is their debt, and now what we are facing today, economic problem. Ukraine war is going on there. Corona के impact are still there. Demand is not properly in economy. That is what is saying. The interest rates are rising, and there is fear of, मैंने आपको बताया था, they are fear of recession. RBI भी बोल चुका, all institutions have said they are fear of recession. Recession is a bad thing. Recession का मतलब आप समझते हैं? डिक्रीज इन डिमांड बेसिकली। आप सिंपली मानिए रिसेशन मतलब पीपल आर नॉट डिमांडिंग स्टफ। तो इससे क्या होता है, रिसेशन, रिसेशन वर्ड ही खतरनाक है। देखिए इकोनॉमी आई टोल्ड यू रन्स ऑन बिलीव ओनली, इकोनॉमी एंड पॉलिटी दोनों, इट ओनली रन्स ऑन बिलीव, व्हाट यू बिलीव, इट डजंट मैटर व्हाट इज द रियलिटी। जैसे मैंने आपको एग्जांपल बताया था, नोट यू हैव इन योर पॉकेट, उसमें लिखा है ना बड़े बड़े अक्षरों में, क्या लिखा है, कभी पढ़ा है किसी ने? व्हाट इज इट ऑन द नोट्स दैट यू हैव इन पॉकेट? क्या कह रहे हो, सब डिजिटल है, हमने नहीं देखा नोट, क्या लिखा होता है उस पर? कभी नहीं देखा नोट? अरे बाप रे, क्या कह रहे हो, हम खर्च करने में बिलीव करते हैं। देखो देखो खोल के देखो क्या लिखा है, सब पढ़ो। क्या तुम बेइज्जती करवा दोगे इंटरव्यू में ऐसे? तो याद रखिएगा, इंटरव्यू में मैं आपको हर बार बता चुका हूँ, इंटरव्यूअर जो होते हैं दे आस्क थिंग फ्रॉम योर सराउंडिंग, कोई आसमान से गिरी हुई चीज नहीं पूछते, बिकॉज हाँ हाँ हाँ, यस प्रज्ञा, हाँ साइन है गवर्नर का, आरबीआई गवर्नर का। तो दैट नोट वर्थ नथिंग, इट्स अ लाई। पता कल क्या होगा, व्हेन द करेंसी विल फेल, इस ये केवल आपको बनाने के लिए लिखी गई है। ये मत सोचिएगा कि इसमें क्या लिखा है, मैं धारक को इतने रुपए, आई प्रॉमिस टू पे द बियरर दिस सम ऑफ रुपीज, गवर्नर साइन, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन 500 रुपीज एंड 1000 रुपीज वर आउटलॉड बाय द गवर्नमेंट, बदले में क्या मिला था, गोल्ड मिला था या अगला नया नोट मिला था? यही होगा। व्हेन द करेंसी विल फेल द आरबीआई विल से कम टू मी, आप जाएंगे कहेंगे पैसे निकालो, कहेंगे आओ तुम्हें पैसे देते हैं, आओ दो, इन्हें पैसे दो। ठीक है, सो व्हाट दे विल डू इज दे विल प्रिंट न्यू करेंसी, so they will replace your old notes for a new note, different तरह का नोट होगा, different features होंगे, different things होंगी। that is a legal lie, but it जरूरी है lie। why it is necessary? because otherwise how would you believe on that paper? समझ में आ रहा है? लीगल lie is a necessary lie। बात समझ में आ रही है? तो that is the problem, you have to believe, that's why I'm saying the word recession is a crisis, because as soon as the word recession goes into the mind of the people, most important corporate, so imagine if I am a corporate, I have 2 lakh crore rupees at me, पड़े हुए हैं, सड़ रहे हैं, मैं उन पर वो कहते हैं सोता हूँ रोज, I want to spend those money, but if there is no economic demand, would I spend that money? That's the problem। समझ में आ रहा है what is trying to say? That the problem is global financial condition, like Ukraine war going on, this China dispute is going on, Israel Iran एक दूसरे पे अटैक करते फिर रहे हैं, these kind of problems, then interest rates are rising everywhere, slowing growth, these are the constant of, and you have taken loan already, वही मैंने आपको बताया, you have taken too much loan, now you do not have a job, or your job में your employer has said I will cut your salary, आप आए नहीं एक महीने तक, जो भी केस हो, बात समझ में आ रही है? These are the problem, keep this in mind। तो टोटल लाइबिलिटीज में प्रोफाइल है, नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस, बट आप थोड़ा समझ सकते हैं, व्हाट इज द टोटल लाइबिलिटी ऑफ द कंट्री? पब्लिक डेट इज 90%, आपको पता है 91% अराउंड है, एंड पब्लिक अकाउंट्स ऑफ द लाइबिलिटी 8.8%, इंटरनल डेट, एक्सटर्नल डेट, टोटल डेट इज 90, पब्लिक डेट, आउट ऑफ दैट इंटरनल मींस फ्रॉम इनसाइड इंडिया 85.48, आउटसाइड 4.91। ये ज्यादा कंसर्न नहीं होती, ये कंसर्न होती है, ये तो आप हमेशा पे बैक कर सकते हो, कोई बड़ी चीज नहीं है। ठीक है, एनीवे figures are not very important। Indian scenario, debt profile, so moderating union government debt to GDP ratio after pandemic induced spike। देखिए यहाँ थी डेट, इसको we were reducing, मैंने बोला ना हमें कहाँ रखनी है, 40 के आसपास रखनी होती है, 40 नहीं भी है तो एटलीस्ट मैंने बोला 60 से तो नीचे रहे, 40 is a comfortable zone, 60 is even bearable, above 60 is dangerous, so government started to reduce its debt to GDP ratio from more than 60 to 50, और इसी तरह से चल रही है मोर और लेस, बट बिकॉज हियर कोरोना, because of corona I told you government income got reduced, but government had to keep spending, so it borrowed, and that's why there's a sharp spike to 60। now government is slowly reducing it। clear है फिगर? तो देखिए इट इज जस्ट लाइक बेसिकली आप देखें तो ये आपका फिस्कल डेफिसिट का भी ऐसा ही फिगर था, fiscal deficit was low, then corona hit, it was high, now government is reducing it, same goes with the borrowing। चलिए आगे देखते हैं। वही जो मैंने आपको बताया फिगर में वही है। और मैं व्हाई इट इज सेइंग लो रिस्क मैंने आपको अभी बताया। प्रोफाइल क्या है गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया डेट प्रोफाइल क्या है? मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द डेट इज डोमेस्टिक, इसलिए कंसर्न नहीं। ऐसे मानिए यू हैव टेकन लोन फ्रॉम योर ब्रदर और सिस्टर, कोई कंसर्न नहीं, थप्पड़ मार के नहीं देंगे ज्यादा बोलेगा तो तेरी तो पैसे लेगा, ठीक है। दैट्स द थिंग यू कैन डू विद सिबलिंग्स। बट बाहर से किसी से लेते हो तो अकाउंटेबिलिटी बन जाती है। तो समझ रहे, इंटरनल डेट जो होती है इट्स इजीली हैंडेबल, ये प्रॉब्लम करती है। तो इट्स अ गुड थिंग इट इज लो। क्लियर? तो वही बात इकोनॉमिक सर्वे कह रहा है। ये पहली चीज वी अंडरस्टूड फ्रॉम द ग्राफ, राइज एंड देन डिक्लाइन। Low risk currency because majority of the debt is denominated in domestic currency, so not a big worry for us. Low interest rate spike. Public debt in India is primarily contracted a fixed interest rate with floating internal debt consumption of 1.7%. मतलब गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया कितना इंटरेस्ट पे कर रही है अपनी डेट पे? 1.7%, which is a very nominal interest. So problem नहीं। According to economic survey, government debt profile में even though it is high, it is not problematic. बात समझ में आ रही है? मेन कंक्लूजन, प्रपोर्शन ऑफ एक्सटर्नल लायबिलिटी पब्लिक डेट अभी हमने थोड़ी देर पहले ही देखा था। इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल प्रपोर्शन, गुड। अच्छा, ये मैच्योरिटी प्रोफाइल है। इलोंगेशन ऑफ मैच्योरिटी प्रोफाइल ऑफ आउटस्टैंडिंग डेट सिक्योरिटी इज नॉट वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस एनीवे। बस इतना, ये वाला फिगर इंपॉर्टेंट याद रखिएगा। तो हमने क्या समझा अभी तक डेट के बारे में? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज हैविंग अराउंड 90% ऑफ जीडीपी एज अ डेट। दैट वाज बिकॉज ऑफ कोरोना स्पाइक। कोरोना के कारण दे हैव टू स्पेंड मोर, but that is not a big problem because majority of the debt is internal debt, not external debt, and that too in domestic currency माने रुपी। internal debt तो रुपी में ही होगा, ठीक है। तो it's not a worry, government can always pay back, and from previously understood government finances are increasing। तो दे पहले हमने समझा था government direct indirect taxes are very good, so government can always pay back, and taxes are good मतलब it is payable। पता है? clear everyone? मैच्योरिटी प्रोफाइल इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है। दैट टू जीडीपी। अच्छा, चैप्टर ही खत्म हो गया, ठीक है। क्लियर है? तो हमने, लेट मी समराइज दिस चैप्टर। तो व्हाट वी हैव अंडरस्टूड सो फार, पहली चीज, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इंक्रीज इट्स फिस्कल डेफिसिट ड्यूरिंग कोरोना क्राइसिस, नाउ इट इज टाइम टू वेन इट आउट। सेम गोज विद द स्टेट। नेक्स्ट, गवर्नमेंट इनकम इज गुड, both direct and indirect income is good, so of course it can pay back. Third thing, government has borrowed too much during corona crisis, so that to GDP ratio was high, but now the things are restoring well, so it is declining. Fourth thing, government support to state have increased. We have seen different kind of support: GST support, outside GST support, finance commission support. So these supports are increasing because common sense, during corona time state government spend more, and problem ye hai state government has less taxes than the central government has the majority of the revenue, so of course central government has to give। clear? सीधी सी बात समझे, आपके घर में बड़ा भाई है और बड़ा बहन है, तो क्या होगा? that person will of course will be more contributing than you। you have the luxury to spend your money into the frivolous thing, but your elder sister or elder brother is supposed to be giving a part to the family। same logic, so central government has more finances and it's a big brother basically, so what it does is it supports the state, so it has been supporting the state। so this is the final status of Indian economy chapter 3। बताइए कोई भी कंफ्यूजन किसी के माइंड में? क्लियर है? ऑनलाइन पीपल, इज इट क्लियर? एनी कंफ्यूजन यू हैव? चलिए हम नेक्स्ट चैप्टर पे स्टार्ट कर नहीं सकते, क्लास है ना आप लोगों की? चलिए कोई नहीं, तो अगले में देखते हैं। वी विल डू द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर इन नेक्स्ट क्लास, एंड फ्रॉम सैटरडे वी विल हैव 2 क्लासेस। रिमेंबर दिस, 1.5 आवर्स फॉर इकोनॉमिक सर्वे, 1 आवर फॉर करंट इवेंट, बिकॉज इट विल टेक टाइम। पहले मुझे लगा था जल्दी हो जाएगा, ठीक है, कोई नहीं है। वी विल कंटिन्यू इन दिस मैनर ओनली। आई विल ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन यू ऑल द बेसिक्स फ्रॉम इकोनॉमिक्स, देन वी विल कम टू इकोनॉमिक सर्वे ने क्या बोला, ठीक है। चलो, हैव अ नाइस डे। वी विल मीट अगेन टुमारो, नहीं सॉरी, मंडे। we'll meet Monday for the remaining people, you people Saturday। very welcome, Pragya Sindhu।